Good morning. It's Jen T. Grace here for day one of the Publish Your Purpose Author Lab workshop. I am so excited that we are on day one. As you'll start to see, I like to go live a good 5 minutes beforehand to just give time for people to make their way into seeing that the video itself is live. So I will just be hanging out here for just a couple minutes. We'll go live probably about 5 minutes past the hour. So if you are trying to find a quiet place, you're trying to get yourself situated, need to grab water, coffee, whatever the things that you may need, you have, I'd say, about 9 minutes to get yourself situated. So for those who are here, though, I would love nothing more than to know who you are, where you are dialing in from, videoing from, and what you are working on. So please let me know. And this workshop is broadcasting in 2 locations. So one is in the Facebook group itself, and then it's also being broadcast to the YouTube channel. So if you see numbers of people watching on one versus another, there's actually kind of 2 groups of people, but everybody should be able to see each other's comments. We'll see how that all plays out, but I'm going to read comments, answer questions, interact in whatever way I possibly can. So I'm very excited that we are on the move here, and we're finally getting situated. And so I'm just going to test my technology for a minute, and I'm in a different location than I will be, and my lighting is atrocious. So I'm just going to acknowledge that right out of the gate on day one. I am in Philadelphia right now. I am typically in Hartford, Connecticut. And so I am in Philadelphia at my aunt's house. And I didn't bring any of my lighting with me. So I am sitting here with a desk lamp with the shade off, and it's a little bit harsh. So, there's that, but we got to make do. For the rest of the workshop, I will be actually at my desk in my office, which I will feel much better because it will be a little less chaotic than what I'm looking at right now. All right, so I would love, if you are here and you are watching, I'm looking for interaction, because this workshop, the point of the workshop is to really help you make more progress now than you may have had in a very long time. So with that being said, I want to have back and forth. I want questions and answers and dialogue, and I want to get to know you, because my goal truly is to help you get this going, help you really jumpstart your process, and mostly from a planning standpoint. Hey, Monica, you look marvelous. I'm here in my office in Shelton, ready to go. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy that you're here, Monica. This is fantastic. Awesome. And you may have, depending on whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube, the comments sometimes come in as anonymous because of some setting that I don't fully know how to control. So if I read your comment, but I don't see your name, I would love if you just kind of put your name in there. So Monica, I see that you're here, and I see that we do have a number of others here as well who might be lurking in the distance or just kind of getting situated, because we still got a couple minutes to go. But Monica, what are you writing about? I would love for you to share, and then everybody else who's watching too. Please share. So I'm going to go into. This is also the challenge of doing this from my laptop, my phone, and an iPad rather than being at my desk. So I've got, it's like a mission control situation over here. So I just want to make sure that I can see if anyone is leaving questions or comments in an area that I cannot see at the moment. And you may notice that sometimes the notifications for the live don't actually go live. I'm not sure why Facebook does that, but sometimes you won't actually be notified. So I would put it in your calendar, and when you do so, just come into the Facebook group, and in theory, it should just pop up for you. But I know that I can see at least 7 of you. So 7 of you have been able to get in here, so you'll be in good shape. Mirna, excited to get started trying to finish my 3rd draft of a handbook on marketing for small farms. Oh, that sounds really interesting. Oh, I'm excited about that. Oh, yes. Awesome. And so you're on YouTube as well, Monica. Okay, I'm writing about a 5-step process to overcome challenges like writing a book or alleviating stress issues, from awareness to action. I like that. Monica, is that what you're thinking your title of your book will be, from awareness to action? I think it could be the start or half of a really good subtitle. All right, we have somebody on Facebook that is saying good morning, but it is not telling me who you are. So if you don't mind just posting who you are, that would be fantastic. As I was saying, and I know, like, everyone, people are going to start rolling in now because now it's actually 10:01 Eastern time anyway. And so for some of you, I won't be able to see who you are. So if you can put in, yep. So the Facebook users, it looks like we're having, I can't really see who is posting. It says good morning. Oh, Midge. Hey, Midge. Great. Oh, good. You have been very active in the, oh, Michelle Love. I love it. I'm glad that you're here too. Awesome. So for those of you who are coming in, please share what you're writing about. We're going to get started at about 5 past the hour because I like to, hey, John, good morning. See, your name came through. So strange, but no one else's has on Facebook. So I would love for you to just kind of share who you are, what you're working on, if you have a working title or subtitle for what you're doing. Please post it. But I want to honor people's time and start, but I will start every day at 5 past the hour just to give time for the myriad of technical hiccups that Facebook and or YouTube can potentially create because, it seems to happen pretty frequently. Rhonda, hey, I'm so happy that you're here too. This is awesome. I see many familiar faces and I see a few faces that I don't yet know. And I think that is wonderful. And my goal is to be able to know all of your faces and all of your books and all of the things by the end of this. So please, I want this to be super interactive. I will be going live every day. I will start at 9:55 Eastern to get the program kind of live. So that way it gives people time to be notified because I think YouTube does a much better job at basically letting you know when the video that you're waiting for is live, whereas Facebook takes a while to populate. So, so just give a good 10 minutes for that to happen. And I am going to go through just a couple of announcements every day too, just as a reminder, because we have a workbook that has a lot of material in it. So I would love if you make sure that you get the workbook. In the Facebook group itself, there is a section called guides. And in that section, you will be able to download or not even download, find the transcripts to each of these videos. So if you have any type of challenges where it's easier for you to read the workshop materials, we will have transcripts that are posted. They should be posted every day within a couple of hours of the workshop. Today might be a little bit different because Brandy on my team, Brandy Lai, you will be seeing her name all about because she'll be tagging you in videos to just kind of remind folks of, so if somebody, if you had intentions of being here and for whatever reason, Facebook didn't tell you that it went live, she's going to be tagging everybody after the video is concluded. So that way it just kind of reminds you of like, oh yeah, I was looking for that and I couldn't find it. So you'll see her name quite a bit. You might see a couple of other people that are Team PYP, but because today is a Sunday, I am not going to demand that Brandy be working at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. So I told her whenever she can get to the transcript is fine by me, but for the rest of the week, we will definitely have the transcript within a couple of hours. That will also be in the guide section. So the purpose of the guide section is to have this video matched with the day, to have the guides matched with the day, and inevitably, because this is a very interactive workshop, there is a lot of conversation and a lot of resources that come up. And so I like to put all the resources in the guide section of the Facebook group. So that way, when you're watching the video and you hear me talk about whatever it is, it's very easy to just navigate to that section to find the link to whatever the resource is. So that's kind of the big one, I would say, is to really just kind of pay attention to the guide section. And then the replays. So there are a lot of people that this time frame does not work for. And this is just kind of, as many of you, I feel like many of you operate businesses or doing things that, you are doing workshops and stuff like that. And so you know how it is when you're trying to kind of schedule around things. So if you are watching this on replay, I love it. Just put a hashtag replay in your comments and tag me or Brandy if you have a question, because I do go through and answer every single comment after every single video. So today, as I mentioned, I am in Philadelphia, not at my typical desk. I'm visiting family. And so I have a 5-hour drive ahead of me after I'm done with this video. So I'll be responding to all of your comments later tonight. And so anything that you have on your mind, truly anything, like this is my time to dedicate to you to really help you get a plan in place, to get started, to really have the tools and resources that you need to be able to like really come out of the gate and have just a concrete plan to execute against to get your book finally written. Many of you, which I so appreciate, many of you left a comment on my question that was around like, how long have you been thinking about this? And for some of you, somebody said 60 years. There were many people that were like in decades. So it's been decades. A couple people just said forever. And so, this is something that you've all been kind of thinking about for, even if it's just a relatively new idea, or you've had it percolating for the majority of your life. There's ways to make this process simple. What inevitably happens is that people complicate this process in a really unnecessary way, because there's a lot of, and it's no knock or discredit to other people who are teaching people how to write books and construct books and things like that, but a lot of times they overcomplicate it in ways that are so overwhelming that you don't really know where to start. And so this time that we have together, my goal is to make it the least overwhelming we possibly can. So that way you have the right tools and resources to go out and get something done on your own without having to engage with, really high expensive types of programs. I have a program that I'll share at some point while we're together, but that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to really just help you. And, if you know anybody that you want to bring into the group, the purpose is really just help you get going. So that is my spiel around that. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about target readership. So I would advise, today's content is around purpose. It might be difficult for some of you. It might be super simple for others. There's kind of a range. What I know to be true is that the target readership exercise in particular tends to be really overwhelming for people. And that's why I put that one as a Monday topic and rather than a Sunday topic. And so if you want to get a head start, you are absolutely welcome to. So the workbook that I mentioned before, it's in the guide section. The target reader exercise, it's long, it asks a lot of questions, it gives a lot of information. I will have a whole kind of slide deck to share with you tomorrow to kind of go through how we think about these things. But I will say that that's probably going to take a little bit of time. And so this entire workshop is designed very sequentially. There's nothing random about the order in which I have put the materials together based on what I know from working with, hundreds of different authors at this point. And so we're going to move through a process. So if something you're like, why are we talking about this right now? Just trust me. And the authors that I work with, they know, and there's a number of you in the comments already. You know that I say trust the process a lot. And you can kick and scream and that's fine, but you just kind of have to trust that there is a plan, there is the purpose, there is a rhythm. Okay, I think those are all of my notes. And so this does go until Saturday the 21st, but then we take Sunday the 22nd off, and I'm back on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that following week for additional bonus content and materials. So there is an opportunity for just a strictly Q&A session. So if you have questions that are not, maybe it doesn't feel fully relevant to today's topic, or maybe it's a question that kind of keeps coming up over and over again, there is going to be an opportunity where it's just wide open Q&A. You can literally ask me anything as it relates to books. There is nothing that is off limits. So for those of you who don't even know me or what Publisher Purpose is that we're a book publishing company. So our primary focus is publishing books. We have writing programs where we support our authors. We have a lot of marketing type of marketing materials and information for authors on how to market and sell their books. And so there's a whole kind of range of things. So when it comes to questions, you can absolutely ask any question as it relates to writing, marketing, publishing, editing, cover design. You can truly, because my company is a publisher, we have tons of additional resources that maybe somebody who just focuses on the writing side wouldn't necessarily have. So my purpose in saying that is if you have questions about like, what do you do with your book later? Or, you're focused on, this is more about writing, getting a plan in place, but you might be trying to think like really far out of what do I do or how do I do it? When that happens, just ask. Like, I'm here. I'm fully here. I am engaged in the group. It is me. And as I mentioned before, Brandy from Team PYP, who you will see her name all over the place. And so I think those are all of my announcements, because there's a lot of them. All right, so today's topic, now that we've got a good, looks like we've got about 20 people in here, which is great because it is a Sunday morning. So before we dive in, I would like you to all give yourselves a very big pat on the back because it is a Sunday morning. And if you are on Pacific time, it is 7 a.m. on a Sunday. And you are here and you are committed to working on your book. And I think that's really amazing because I wasn't sure, especially a Sunday, because it's 10 Eastern time where I am. But I'm like, this is tricky to get people to show up at 10 o'clock in the morning. So the fact that there's 20 of you who are here ready to go, already engaging in the comments, that's pretty amazing. So, and I'm not saying that to be legitimately think you should pat yourself on the back for being here because this is one of those first steps to making that commitment to say, yes, my book is important. Yes, I'm going to get this done. Yes, I want to finish this. And this is a free workshop, right? So how like that's even more cool that you've shown up, 20 of you at least, on a Sunday morning live for something that you didn't even have to put skin in the game for. Like it's not like you paid money and now you're like, oh shit, if I don't show up, I'm not going to get my money's worth. So that makes it even bigger of a deal, in my personal opinion. Okay, so today's topic is purpose. So this is where I want to have some good engagement here, and I have seen a number of people. And Michelle, I love that you kind of put your what you wrote and then your name in parentheses, because especially if you're on Facebook, I'm having problems seeing who you are. But I want this to be a very interactive session, as I want the whole workshop to be very interactive. But today in particular, I want you, and I'll give you a minute to kind of put your information in here, is that I want you to share with me and everyone else who is kind of with you on this journey right now to just post what you believe right now the purpose of your book is. And you might not have an answer to that, and that's okay because that's what we're going to talk about. So I just want to give you a minute to just kind of post in here what you believe the purpose of your book is. And we'll see what comes up. All right, joining you on the move while walking. Awesome. Very good. See, this is what I'm saying. It's commitment. It's a Sunday morning, people. And we've got people on the move walking. This is fantastic. And again, if you're on Facebook, I don't see most of your name. So if you're commenting on Facebook, just throw your name, even if it's just your first name, because I will start recognizing everybody's name, especially for those of you who show up every single day. I will remember all the details of all of the things. All right, so to help others on a healing journey from trauma. That is a really good purpose. To bring hope to those struggling with alcohol. It's a good one. It's a good one. And I love the conciseness of the two people who've already shared. I'm here watching. I'll be watching the replays. Thanks so much for having this class. You are very welcome. You are very welcome. So yes, if you happen to be watching on replay, you just use the hashtag replay and just make a comment. Like really engage as if you're here live. My purpose is to give our community the freedom to return to their faith. Oh, we're coming in good. I love it. Okay. Return to their faith journey and to stop the suicides that happen when being told that they can't be gay and Christian. Yeah, that's a big one. To teach people how to create personal and family archives. Rhonda, I was actually promoting you and your work to somebody that I was with. So I'm here in Philadelphia with my aunt, and we were just talking about the importance of archivists. I think it was yesterday or Friday. Let's see, Heather. Purpose to share insights, lessons learned, and to save effort and time for others diagnosed with cancer. Oh, that's a good one. That's a really much needed book. 5-step process that helps people go from negative to positive emotions, thinking, feeling, behaviors. It takes people from being stuck or fearful to empowered. I really like that. Let's see. The purpose of my book is to inspire mothers of young children to advocate for things that will make the world a better place and give them the tools to begin right away. Cindy. Yes, Cindy, I'm really excited about your book, as I am about many of yours. And it's great that there's a handful of authors that we at PYP are already working with, and you're in here too. So that's what's really cool too, is that, some of you already have your manuscript written and you are in the throes of the editing or the publishing process, and you're here engaging too. So I think that's really awesome. All right, so for everyone who has posted, because a lot of you did post what the purpose of your book is, and a lot of you have really good clarity on the purpose. So is there anyone here who doesn't really have that clarity. All right, coming in more comments coming in. I love it. All right, I would impart how to overcome the different struggles in life to empowering results. My ex just passed from alcoholism. I'm sorry to hear that. To bring my leadership coaching voice to students and help them begin to focus on their leadership abilities, no matter their age, so they don't dismiss the experiences they've already had. It's a really good one. Actually, John and Monica, do the two of you know each other already? Because I feel like if you don't, you should. You're both coaches. You're both in Connecticut. John, I don't know if you're part of ICF, but you definitely should. The two of you should connect. And if you would like, I can connect you. Let's see, Diane, my topic is autism awareness and advocacy. Hey, Diane, I can't wait to start working with you next month. Let's see. Oh, it's Rebecca. Oh, Rebecca, I love it. I'm exploring a collection of poetry essays to invite thought and self-reflection about our relationship with the world around us, life and social issues. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Oh my God, this is fantastic. There's so many, like, so if anyone was struggling, are you feeling like even just a little bit better, like kind of hearing what other people are saying about the purpose of their books? Because I know that there's a lot more of you watching than there are interacting. And so my experience from having done many workshops in the past is that a lot of times those of you who are silent, there's nothing wrong with the silence, but sometimes it's because you're really kind of struggling to put the words around whatever it is that you're doing. So the other question to think about is, like why. So we talked about like what the purpose of your book is, right? But why are you writing it? So I'd love to hear like what the why is for why you're doing this, because this can also be really empowering too, because all we're trying to get to today, like I wanted to start off the workshop in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. So I want us to be thinking about purpose. And as I was saying a little while ago, this is constructed in a very intentional and specific order, because everything will build on the next thing. And when we can start our process of writing a book and we can anchor in really deeply into the purpose of the book and the why we are writing the book, if we have those two things as like deep anchors into the ground, then the entire rest of this process, I promise you, will be significantly easier. So if right now you're watching and you are struggling a little bit with kind of defining what your purpose is, let's talk about it. Let me help you figure out what the purpose might be. But I would imagine that even if you don't really know the purpose yet, you absolutely know why. You know why you're doing this or why this is important. So for those of you who are active in these comments, please like just share with me why. Like what is it about this book? Like why do you need to do it? And the kind of the second piece of that is like why now? Like what is it about now today's climate that is important to you to be working on it? So I'll give you a minute to post in the comments. Oh, look at this. See, there's already like some networking happening in here. I love nothing more than connecting authors with each other when it makes sense. So that's the other kind of great thing about this group, is that you'll start to kind of see the same names over and over again. Whether you're here live, you're on replay, you'll start to see people's names that you recognize. You'll start to know what they're working on. And what's great is that some of you might go off and end up in a group together working on something, or some of you might go off, get your book written, published, and come back and be like, hey, everybody, remember when I was in that workshop with you and I had this book and you wanted to read it? And then you can kind of come back in and we can announce, hey, that your book is here. And then voila, you have additional readers and people to kind of buy your book right when it comes out because they were with you. Sorry, Monica missed the question. Why? The question is, why are you writing this book? And the other kind of half of it is, why now? Like, what is it about the climate at this very moment that has prompted you to prioritize sitting here on a Sunday morning with me and a bunch of strangers to work on your book? So why? Sue's, to empower humanity to be happy and whole. So is that your purpose, or is that your why, or is that both? Because I can see it being one or the other, or both. So just why? All right, I'm writing it now because there are so many moms discovering now that social policies can hurt our families. COVID, Black Lives Matter, climate issues, et cetera, and I don't know what to do about it. As a mom activist myself and an advocacy coach, I'm getting a lot of questions about it. My blog is growing in readership. The book can reach more people with in-depth coaching than my blog. Yes, I love that. That is such a good one. That is like you've said so much in that statement, Cindy, because when we look at it from that standpoint, one of the reasons why many of us work on a book is because we want to scale our thought leadership. And I don't even like using like that sounds like such a marketing type of phrase, but we want to impact more people. And we know that by putting it into a book, we can absolutely do so. So the goal is to package our thoughts in a way that anyone can understand, and then they can go off and read it and do something really awesome about it, because there's a lot of people who might not be able to afford to work with you, because I know there's a lot of you that are coaches in here in a really very diverse range of types of coaches that might be in here right now. And some people just they don't have the economic means to work with you. And so when that happens, a book is a really, really beautiful way to be able to kind of impact more people, which then they can impact more people. And then it creates this ripple effect of really good positive change and impact for a lot of people in communities that maybe you wouldn't otherwise be able to serve. And there's just something so powerful about that. Monica, the why. It's a burning incomplete in my life. Ooh, I like it. Is there anything in particular, Monica, of like why it like feels like it maybe it's been like a slow simmer for a while, but now it feels like a raging fire? Is there can you pinpoint anything in particular that's kind of made it leap from that slow burn to something that's like, okay, if I don't do something about this, like or I have no choice but to do something about this. Let's see. As a caregiver, I went through so much and lost so much life. I want to help others navigate faster. That's a good one. Actually, I'm working with an author right now who she's writing a book about caregiving. We have a number of books that are in kind of that caregiver space. This one's a little bit more of a memoir. Carla, where are you? I'm writing this book because alcohol almost took my life, and I want to bring hope to those that are scared about their relationship with alcohol. It's so important I put my story out there because of what happened with people and drinking during the pandemic. Young people are dying from alcohol in droves. Yeah, Carla, I was actually talking about your book to my aunt last night. We have, there's definitely some alcohol related issues within our DNA. And so we were talking about that last night, and I was explaining to her the reframe that you shared with me, and it was just she had like this like aha type of moment as we were talking, and she ended up making a note in her phone about it. So yeah, Carla, I think you're onto something really, really powerful. Oh, where is it? Why now? It's helping me heal through helping others. You know what? I think there's something beautiful about that too. So for those of you who are working on your books and your sole purpose or the why is to help yourself heal, there is nothing wrong with that. I want to acknowledge that sometimes, a lot of times when we're writing a book and working on a book, we're thinking big impact. We're thinking, and when I say big impact, it could be impact over your particular geographic community. It could be impact, you're trying to make a global impact. It really could be any number of impact, but big impact is somebody that it's reaching people outside of just yourself and just your immediate friends and family and colleagues maybe. So when you have something that's helping you heal through helping others, that is a that you could just have the goal and the purpose of the book and the why is to just help yourself heal. And that is completely okay, because as you move through this process, writing a book, and especially if you're writing a memoir where there's some like traumatic component to it, you had a near death experience, like any number of things. And we can divide this out by like big T trauma, where it's like, like big trauma. And then there's like little T trauma, where there's these things that come up that are still traumatic. And it's not the pain Olympics. We're not comparing like my trauma to your trauma or anything like that. But a lot of times the writing process can help us heal that so significantly. So sometimes your goal or purpose or why could on the surface potentially look very self-centered or inward reflecting, and I don't want you to think of it in those terms, because there's something just as powerful about doing this just for yourself, because even when you're writing it just for yourself, you have a big opportunity to impact other people when we can extract the universal truth from whatever the thing is that you're experiencing. So random example. So as I've said a couple times, I'm here in Philadelphia visiting an aunt of mine. And so she and I were up very late last night, and we were talking, and she was saying how she and two of her sisters want to work on a book together. And so we just started brainstorming of what that could be, and those are obviously all family members of mine. And her, like, the way that she was describing it, the whole purpose of it would be for them to help them heal their relationship with other people in our family, but then help them heal the relationships between themselves. And I thought that was really powerful, especially from, if you have, and there's six of them. So there's, six siblings. And so if you have something where, like, in their purpose, it's not to go out and like impact a bunch of people, it's to help them heal basically their relationship within our family. And so when we think about something like that, I was just kind of giving her thoughts around, like, so what is the universal truth to that? Like, how can we pull that up and raise that out where someone else could watch these three different perspectives over the same events over whatever period of time? But what else could they, like, what could a reader get from this? And to me, the obvious thing that came up is, like, especially for people who have siblings and have many of them, everyone does have a different perspective, and they have a different lens that they're coming from. And so it could be like one of a universal truth might there might be just the nuances among siblings. And anyone who has siblings that they don't have great relationships with might be able to relate to whatever it is that they're writing. But at the end of the day, they want to write it for themselves. And so my point is, I don't want you in here and seeing all of these really awesome people with these big goals and how they're going to impact people. And you might be kind of in the background, not really knowing where you fit in this. I just want to validate and acknowledge that writing it for yourself and for healing is perfectly fine, and a very good purpose and a very good why. I know that was a rabbit hole, but I think it's an important rabbit hole because I want to make sure that everybody here feels valued and feels respected and feels like, that they can do this. And I don't want you to be comparing yourself to other people that are in the comments, because we're going to have a lot of time to chat together, a lot of time. So we're going to be going until every day until 10:30 Eastern time. So we have a couple minutes left. And then most of the days I will be here well after that point to answer questions, because I want to kind of answer them as we're kind of like going through. And especially tomorrow with the target reader, I have a whole hour blocked out for that. Like, so 30 minutes we'll be doing the teaching. But if you want to stay around and have just ask your questions, because it's a lot. But similar to your purpose and why, when we have good clarity on our purpose and on our why, when we have good clarity on who we are writing for, it all starts to build on each other. And then before long, you get into these really good grooves, because now you have these pieces of a puzzle that are put together in a way that just feels so easy. Like, and I shouldn't say easy, but what happens to all of us, and we will definitely talk about this in the coming days, is that we have these moments where we're like, why did I decide to do this? And then we feel overwhelmed. We are like, who am I to write a book? And the imposter syndrome rears its ugly head so quickly to everybody, myself included. I'm not immune to this. I have written 6 books. I am partially working on a 7th right now. I'm not like not full in on it, but I am working on it from time to time. And I've had this happen in all of those books myself. So those kind of things start to kind of creep in. And so when we have these different kind of pieces and parts, we can say, all right, I know this is hard for me, and I went through this experience. I'm trying to help other people because I just don't want them to feel so alone. I don't want them to feel isolated, or whatever the wording might be. When you remember who that person is that you're writing for and your why, when you sit down at the computer and nothing comes out, because that will happen, and it probably has already happened to many of you, then you can go back and say, okay, like, I really need to do this because I'm trying to help this target read, this person. It makes us more, it helps us more easily get through this process of the holdup. Because when we're there and we're staring at a blank screen and we're like, "Ugh, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?" And we don't have those answers, it's real easy to just shut the computer and walk away. But when we have those answers of our purpose and our why and the who, all of a sudden it's like we can't shut the computer and just walk away, because it's too important. Too many people are depending on us as the author to show up every day and to get that writing done in order for that person next in line to be able to learn and grow from what it is that you're writing about. Hopefully this is feeling good. All right, I see that John has to bounce. You are very welcome, John. So that's really today's that is kind of all that I wanted to discuss with you today is just thinking about your purpose and why. And so when in doubt, if you go back to, and most of you have really good, I should say every why that or your purpose and why that I read, you're already like 10 steps ahead, honestly, because a lot of times the why is just really, it's just vague. It's kind of like it's cryptic. So if you feel like you have a cryptic or vague why, all I encourage you to do is just ask yourself why again. Like, I'm writing this book because X, Y, Z. Why? All right, because X means this to me. Why? Well, because Y happened and X didn't happen, and now I don't know what to do with Z. Why does that matter? And if you just keep going, why, I guarantee you, the information will start to unravel. However, the ones that I have seen as they've scrolled by seem really powerful. So I think most of you are in really good shape. And so I do want to honor the fact that it is now 10:31 Eastern time. So if you have to bounce off, as John just did, by all means, you can do so. If you have any questions that you want to chat about, I'm happy to answer questions. So somebody is asking, I'm embarrassed to ask, but must. Where do you draft your book on the computer? And I should say this too. Don't be embarrassed or afraid to ask any question because inevitably you might be asking this and someone else is thinking about it, but they're afraid to ask it. So there's no, and I know that this is overused and oversaid, but there's no such thing as a dumb question. And I feel that way, especially when it comes to writing and publishing a book, because it is so complicated and it can be very overwhelming if you don't have the right information. So my goal is to demystify all of that for you. So your question of, where do you draft your book on the computer? That is entirely up to you. So if you are on a Mac, you can use Pages. If you are on a PC, I don't know if all PCs come with Word. I feel like they probably do. I could be wrong. Or if you use Google, you can use a Google Doc. So those are kind of the three: Pages, Word, and a Google Doc are the three big ones. There is a program that I inevitably mention every time I do workshops like these called Scrivener. And Scrivener is an amazing tool, but it can be very difficult to learn. So if you're not starting off at a place of being technologically savvy, I don't think that I would recommend it. So, and you might, maybe you don't have Pages or Word, you can set up a Gmail account and I'm pretty sure you can access Google Docs. And so you just need something that will give you an option to write all of your words in. You just need one place, one master document to write all of the words in. Does that help? All right, Monica, this is probably the first of several books, and this tool is in all of them for different target markets. Does that make sense? New, the empowerment process, 5 steps to get from awareness to action. This is probably the first of several books. This tool is in all of them. I feel like I think I know what you're asking, Monica, and I feel like it makes sense. So, and you have half written the empowered breath. Aha, okay, I see what you're saying. Yes, so yes, there is, I like the tagline of 5 steps to get from awareness to action. I think that it's just a very powerful tagline. And yes, you could absolutely swap out. So you have the empowerment process, the empowered bride, the empowered entrepreneur, the empowered baker. Like you could truly have any number of things. Goodbye, Diane, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow, next live. And so yes, Monica, it works. So what I would encourage you to do, and this is getting us way ahead of ourselves, however, we'll go into it for a minute, is if anyone here is writing something where there are multiple applications to it, and it's not like, so if you look up Hal Elrod, let me make myself a note, I'll put his website in the resources later, is he has the Miracle Morning. So there's a whole book. I don't know how many of them there are, but there's a lot of them. There's got to be at least 20 different versions of this. So it's the Miracle Morning, and his is kind of a, you wake up at 5 a.m., You do all of these things to kind of like set yourself up for the day. But he has like the miracle morning for coaches, the miracle morning for entrepreneurs, the miracle morning for mothers. Like it's a whole different kind of set. And so the way that they do it, that is brilliant, and I think everybody should do it, is that when you're writing this first one, you write it for the larger audience, which kind of sounds like what you're doing right now. So it's like the empowerment process. Then you identify where you can swap out the content that changes the lens of who you're writing to. So if you have the empowered entrepreneur, if you do it intentionally now, and when you're writing, so maybe, with the empowered entrepreneur, it's a new chapter one, it's a new introduction, it's a new conclusion. Maybe like the majority of the bones of the book would be identical, but you'd just be swapping out different examples. So if you're writing about the empowered bride versus entrepreneur, there's going to be wildly different examples. And so if you just highlight in your document where you will have to go in and replace that content later, when you kind of do your final save for whatever version of it is. So say you started off with the entrepreneur, then when you go in, you just have to find all those areas where maybe you highlighted it in yellow and see, okay, here's all, like, I just need to swap this out with an example that it's wedding related. I just need to swap this out for a bride. I just need to swap this out for a groom, and just go through the whole thing. And it will save you a ridiculous amount of time by just thinking about how are you going to swap out that information that's specific to a new audience now, rather than waiting till later. Because if you wait till later, it turns into this feeling of that you have to kind of like start from scratch when you don't have to start from scratch. Hopefully that makes sense. The Empowered Bride has a ton of extra material, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm sure each of them would have a ton of extra material. But even if you had the same chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6, and you just had to do the beginning and the end differently for everyone, and just swap out the examples in those couple of chapters that are always the same, you should be in good shape. Because most of the time, like, I guess it's not to say that it wouldn't happen, but like if I were buying the empowered entrepreneur, would I like, and I'm a bride, would I also be buying the one for bride, or would I really just be buying the one for the empowered entrepreneur? I don't know. So you can have duplicate content is my point, but you do have to change it enough that it's clear that this is about, a different topic. Because um, when it's not done right, people get cranky. But hopefully that helps a little bit. Any other questions? I'm waiting for my aunt and my child to pull back in the driveway. They went to walk the dog so I could have some quiet time. I don't think they're back yet. So any other questions? Thanks so much. Appreciate your feedback. You are very welcome, Monica. Happy to help. I feel like I'm getting sunburned by a light bulb right now. It is so bright. I know the lighting probably doesn't look that bright. People always get cranky. Yeah. There's always something. Someone's always cranky about something. So the more intentional we can be about what we're doing, the more we can kind of mitigate the levels of crankiness down the road. And honestly, if you're writing something that is controversial in any way, or I shouldn't even seemingly controversial, or you're going to make a bunch of people cranky in a certain kind of demographic or audience or whatever, that's just part of this process. And there's ways to kind of get around it if you're like really concerned about it. But especially for those writing memoirs, sometimes we're writing our story, but we're sharing stories of people in our family, and that can be problematic and that can be tricky. So there's always kind of workarounds. So as we continue kind of going through this workshop together, I'll happily go into any of that information as well. Any last questions? Thank you. We'll see you in the morning. Beautiful. I will see you in the morning as well. And so I guess as we close here, I'll just remind you that this video will be in today's video, if you want to go back and replay something, rewatch something, it will be in the guide section. That is always where you will find it, will be in the guide section. And if you need to, if you, like I was saying before, if reading something is easier than watching or listening to, you're welcome to go read the transcript, which will be up hopefully later today. It might not be until tomorrow because it is a Sunday, and I'm not trying to demand and force people to be working on a Sunday just because I feel like it's a good idea. And so yeah, we'll be back at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. Hang on, there's a comment. In the varying and varying the content for different audiences. I feel like the stories are key. People really like personal stories and interviews to help relate, and that can make all the difference in whether I bought two different books on empowerment. Absolutely, completely agree. Yeah, stories are incredibly important. Incredibly important. Where do I find the guide section? Great question. So if you're on mobile, so if you're on like a laptop or a desktop or whatever, if you just enter the group, there's along the top, it says like home, videos, photos. There's a number of tabs across the top. If you click down on one of them, it will say. Actually, I might have a screenshot of this. Um, I do actually. Let me see if I can show you my screen for a second. Right here. Oh, hold on. I got to get rid of the banner. Okay, so if you're on a desktop, it should look something like this, where you have the about, the discussion. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. There we go. The about, discussion, and then guides. So if you click on guides, each of the days have their own guide section. So the couple of resources of Scrivener program and Hal Elrod that I was mentioning, I'll put those links in there a little bit later. So it's down here. But if you are on a mobile device, then yours will probably be, let's find out together, shall we? Let's say I'm unclear. All right, so if I go into the group, okay, so this is what my phone looks like anyway. Okay, so to see how the guide section is, oh, it's backwards right there. So it should look just like that. So just click on guides. And then when you do, it will, if you just scroll down, so guide 2 says day 1, the purpose of your book. Just hit see posted. All of the things will be right there. I thought I wasn't going to be able to make this, but didn't realize it's 10 Eastern. I don't know what time you thought it was going to be, but I'm happy that you're here. This is fantastic. You're always full of wisdom, enthusiasm. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm using an iPhone. Yeah, so if you just do what I just showed you, just go into the group itself, you should be able to see the guides. I try to make this as organized as possible because, again, today is probably one of the easier days because we're talking big picture, high level. Like, it's kind of easier to figure out, like, why are you doing this? But we are absolutely going to get into stuff that is a little bit more complicated, takes a little bit more thought. And so I like to have the entire program organized in those guides. So that way, when you're like, what did she tell me I needed to do? Or what was that resource again? It's easy to go back and get that resource. All right. Well, I'm feeling good about day 1. I hope you are all as well. And so as you go off into the rest of your Sunday, if you have something, I know Rebecca, you're out walking. If something comes up and you're thinking about something that was said here and you have a question, just come back. Just come back and type it into the comments. And I will see it because, like I said, I go through them a lot. Like, some of these videos end up having hundreds of comments, but I do go through each and every one to make sure that I've responded to everything. And so if you have a comment, just tag me, even if it's something that you want me to answer. And if I don't respond to that within 12 or 18 hours or so, feel free to tag me again. You can tag me 100 times if you want. Just want to make sure that I see and answer the questions that you have. I know my why, but where do you go after that? We're going to get into that. So you know your why. So make sure you write down your why, write down your purpose, go download the workbook. So the workbook is there. The workbook is big. It's like 25 pages. Go get the workbook, write in your why, write in your purpose. So what is the purpose of this book and why are you writing this book? Write both of those things down in the workbook. And then we are going to build on all of that sequentially, even if it doesn't feel like we're going to. So tomorrow we're talking about target readers. It might not seem like a direct connection, but I promise you, just trust that it will all make sense by the time we are done together. All right. Well, I am very grateful for all of you up early on a Sunday morning who have been with me. This is fantastic. We had a good number of people show up. So I'm really excited. I think we're gonna have a really great rest of the week. And so, as I said, if you have questions, comments, literally anything related to this, please, please, please just reach out. Let me know. I'm here for you. Like, I'm fully dedicated to helping you get any questions answered as we are working together. All right. Thank you and have a wonderful remainder of your day. And I will see you bright and early this time tomorrow back in my home in Hartford, and I will have a much better lighting situation. So that is my goal. And I will talk to you later. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.